Hi, good day. Today I will going to present to you one of the part of our topic. By the way, I am Junella Panda and I am part of group 5. Teacher as a person in society. My questions are, when you see a teacher, what are the things that comes to your mind? How can you describe them as a person in society? For me, teacher is our good role model. They are the one that has a good moral character. So if you are a teacher, it is expected that you have morality. So, what is morality? Morality, it refers to the quality of human acts by which we call them right or wrong, good or evil. It simply means that if you are a teacher, you always do the right thing that can make your students learn and be an excellent person. What is foundational moral principle? It is the universal norm upon which all other principles of the rightness or wrongness of an action are based. It is the source of morality. Where is this foundational moral principle? It is contained in the natural law. So it simply means that morality is rooted from the universal norm. And the other question is, what is natural law? According to Saint Thomas Aquinas, the good is the ultimate goal of the person's actions. So, for Aquinas, natural law is to do good and avoid evil. Natural law is written in human heart, our hearts. As a human or as a teacher, we simply know what is the wrong and what is the right thing to do. Natural law is part of human nature. When are teachers called to be in good moral character? So teacher should possesses dignity and reputation with high moral values, adheres to observes and practices set of ethical and moral principle standards and values at all times, not only in school premises but elsewhere. It simply means if that you have to be a good influencer to your students. To be a teacher, you have to have these standards and values. Wherever you are, you need to bring these values. Here are the most common personal traits given to describe teachers are. So the first is caring. So if you are a teacher, you need to be caring. So you need to have care to your students. And the second is approachable. So if you are a teacher, you need to be approachable because some students might scared to ask questions to the teacher. So you need to show to them that you are approachable and you're willing to listen and entertain their questions and concerns. And the third is compassionate. So if you are a teacher, you need to be compassionate. You need to have a sympathy or concerns to your students, especially when there are or especially when there is something bad happen to them. So you need to have compassion. And the fourth is forgiving. So if you are a teacher, you have to be forgiving. We can't deny that in a school setting, the students may give headache to the teacher. So despite of that, the teacher should be forgiving. You have to show and teach your students and how to make make things right and how to forgive. And the last is humble. Even if you are a teacher, You always need to be humble, and this is important to maintain your good image as a teacher and to be a good role model of your students.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Angel Maple Yamet, and I'm going to discuss the lesson 2, which is the values formation. So, when we say value, it is a person's principles or standards of behavior or one's judgment of what is important in life. So, I have these three questions, no? So, is there such thing as right and changing and universal value? Is a right value for me also a right value for you? Are values dependent on time, place, and culture? So let's find out answers to these questions. So on the idealist point of view, transcendent values or universal values is the values of love, care, and concern for our fellow men are values for all people, regardless of time and space. They remain value even if no one values them. Bisan pa kuno nga wala kagi value, kay naa Japon daw kay value. Dili jud daw na mawaan ang value sa imong kagalingon. But on the other hand, the relativist point of view said that there are no universal and unchanging values. They believe that values and beliefs changes through space and time. So, for example, just because bribery is okay in some cultures does not mean that other cultures cannot rightfully condemn it. So, next. So, is value taught or caught? So, the answer to that is both. So, caught catch values by seeing them live by example. So, for example, if we see someone is being helpful with the people around him or her, that will influence us to acquire this value too. Values are taught especially at home and at school. So, for example, Susan told her son to always amen or mano to his grandparents and to them upon leaving and arriving at the house. Thus, his son acquired and practiced the value of being respectful. So, value is nakukuha and natuturo. So, there are three dimensions of values. So, the first dimension is the cognitive dimension. So, it is a mental understanding and readiness. So, it says that we should understand and know the value we acquire. And we need to know why we have to value such. So, for example, like what is meant by honesty? Like, why do I have to be honest? So that's the cognitive dimension. Next one is the affective dimension. So it is an experience toward something. Like what Aquino said, it is not enough to know what honesty is or why one should be honest. One has to feel something towards honesty, be moved towards honesty as preferable to dishonesty. So next one is the behavioral dimension. So behavioral is living by the value. So we need to know how to live by that value because living by the value is the true acid test if we really value a value like honesty. So cognitive is think, affective is feel, and behavioral dimension is act. So value formation is a training of intellect and will. So intellect discern a value and present to will as right and wrong. Will is the wills to act the right value and avoid the wrong. So ang intellect may it is the one who catch a value and let the will decide if it is right or wrong, while the will is the one who always chooses the right value over the wrong one. So, as what Thomas Aquinas said, the intellect proposes, the will disposes. Max Keller was a German philosopher known for his work in phenomenology, ethics, and philosophical anthropology. So Max Keller has hierarchy of values. So the first one is the pleasure values. It is the pleasant against unpleasant, the agreeable against disagreeable. So example for these values are our sensual feelings and experience of pleasure or pain. So the next one is the vital values. It is values pertaining to the well-being either of the individual or not the community. Example of this are the values of vital feeling, like our capability and excellence. The next one is the spiritual values. Values independent of the whole sphere of the body and of the environment. So, example of this is the values of right and wrong and values of pure knowledge. So, the last one is the values of the holy. So, it appear only in regard to objects intentionally given as absolute objects. So, example of this is our belief, adoration, bless, and value. So, si Max Keller, kaya ning-rate ang kani mga values to highest to lowest. So, he said that the pleasure is the lowest and the highest is the values of the holy. Ana siya nga dapat kuno nato kanang need to give importance ang kaning values of holy, because in order for us to live right and avoid misery and let us don't prioritize the pleasure values. Okay, so next is the term value is reserved for those individual beliefs, attitudes, and activities that satisfy the following criteria. So the first one is our values should be freely chosen. A value must be chosen freely, like if you don't cheat because someone tells you not to, or because you know you will get into trouble with your teacher, then you are not freely acting on your values of honesty and integrity. So the second one is the chosen among alternatives. So if you don't cheat because you are taking a test in an empty room without any resources, you cannot say you choose not to cheat. So it says that there must always be a choice in choosing, or an alternative way of choosing our value. So the third one is chosen after reflection. So a value results from a choice made after thoughtful consideration of choices. So if you don't cheat because it never occurred to you to do otherwise, there is no value at play. So if you cheat thoughtlessly or carelessly, it does not reflect a value. It only reflects only when you carefully consider alternatives and consequences and then make a choice. Is value reflected in that decision? So the fourth one is the prized and cherished. When you value something, it has a positive quality for you. If your decision is to not to cheat is something you feel good about, then it is based on a value. So meaning you like yourself because of for your honesty and integrity. So these are the qualities you prized and cherished. So the fifth one is the publicly affirmed. So you're willingly to publicly stand by your values. Not only are you proud of your choice not to cheat, but you will speak about your position and even try to convince others not to cheat. So you are declaring in your actions and your words that you value honesty and integrity. So the sixth one is the incorporated into actual behavior. So, dili lang jud ka mag-talk kanang about having honesty and integrity, but nagpuyo-pod ka with it. And you spend time and energy on developing your honesty and integrity, associating with people who also value honesty and integrity. So the last one is your values should acted upon repeatedly in one's life. So our values show up again in your actions. So not cheating on one thing does not mean you hold a value. Only when you make the same kind of choices over and over again in similar circumstances is value at play. So because of your honesty and integrity, you don't cheat on anything. So from a small quizzes to big exams, your value is in effect in every circumstance. So that's all. Thank you. So if you have any questions regarding to my lesson, please don't hesitate to message me.
Good day, everyone. I'm Danette Milius, and I will be your speaker for Lesson 3, which is Teaching as a Vocation, Mission, and Profession. So, before we tackle on Lesson 3, let's first know our objectives. So, in this lesson, we will be able to explain and embrace teaching as a vocation, mission, and profession. Teaching as a vocation. The word vocation comes from the Latin word vocare, which means to call. Teachers became teachers not because of luck or misfortune, but because he or she is destined to be one. That's why it is called a vocation, meaning a calling to teach, impart knowledge, skills, and life lessons. Being a teacher requires a lot of things to gain and even to sacrifice. You cannot last long in teaching if you are not really called to teach. Teaching as a mission. The word mission comes from the Latin word misseo, which means to send. We teachers are sent to accomplish a mission. Teaching is a mission. To teach is to influence every child entrusted in our care to become better and happier. Every teacher has its own unique mission to accomplish. We are entrusted to contribute to the betterment of this world in our own unique way. Our mission in teaching is to touch the hearts of people and open the minds of children. Teaching as a profession. By semantics, profession is a type of job that requires special training and gives status and prestige to the individual. It is a way of rendering service to humanity. It is said that teaching is the noblest profession. Not only does the student learn in the process, but the teacher also learns the lesson of life from the innocent students. It is therefore beneficial to both sides. Teaching is considered a profession that provides an art of living. Teaching is a profession that teaches all other professions. Without the teachers or educators, there would be no other profession. Teaching gives birth to other profession. An anonymous author had spoken, and I quote, "There is no more noble profession than teaching. A great teacher is a great artist, but his or her medium is not canvas, but the human soul."